our never-ending series of comparisons of first page TV versus other types of marketing and advertising alternatives. In this presentation today, we're going to go bit of a comparison versus those service providers like Home Advisor, Thumbstack, and Angies. Now, keep in mind, when I'm referring to First Page TV, I am referring to our Dominate the Market program, which is the program where you can cultivate a lot of lead generation from having basically a TV commercial on the first page of Google. We'll be able to have your videos shown to people who are actively and motivated and ready to buy. And also keep in mind that that is an exclusive membership. If we choose to work with you, you'll be the only contractor, the only business from your niche in your area that we put on the first page of Google with the video. Okay, so it'll kind of look very similar to what you see on your screen right now. Now, I want to make something perfectly clear. Today's comparison is against Angie's List, Thumbstack, and Home Advisor. Now, when I make these comparisons, I am not telling you not to advertise on Angie's List, Thumbstack, or Home Advisor. As a matter of fact, if you watched our previous webinars, I've done comparisons against Facebook, TV commercials, as well as Google AdWords, etc. To be quite frank with you, I encourage your marketing mix to be pretty much all of them. You should have some sort of marketing mix. If you can't afford to do all six, at least be doing first page TV and two others. Okay, and in our individual meetings, we'll talk about what that marketing mix should be. All right, but for the purposes of this webinar, let's just talk a little bit about the differences between First Page TV and the service providers like Angie's List, Thumbstack, Home Advisor. As you know, Angie's List, Thumbstack, Home Advisors, they pretty much get a listing on a first page of Google because they're spending a lot of money to be there in order to generate leads for you. Now, what they're charging you is probably very costly. I get that. All right. And of course, you're not exclusive, meaning that if you own a particular zip code, you're probably 1, 2, 3, or 4 of the contractors that they're referring out to the same person. There's really no exclusivity, but it's still good to be there. It's still good to have a listing on there. Okay? Now, the problem, of course, the people using, the homeowners using one of those service providers, they're normally tire kickers. They're normally shopping around. They're normally getting quotes. All right? And, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But you just being a part of Home Advisors, for instance, you just become one of the quotes. You're really not doing anything to separate yourself, to add more trust in the eyes of the consumer. So when you're running a first page TV video through us, you'll also have a video on that first page which kind of complements. In the consumer's eyes, they're going to have a lot more credibility towards you. You're going to be known as more of a professional because what you're doing is you're separating yourself from the other 4 companies that the service provider handed out for them to get a quote from. Plus, they'll be able to see that video of you where you can basically do the selling before they even call you. I don't know if you realize it, but bottom line is, these people are not referred to you from a friend or a past client. They're being referred to you from Google and from the service provider. There's a difference. You still need to be able to pass the consumer's test. That test is they're only going to buy from people that they trust and from people that they like. By having a video do the selling for you, this is going to bridge that gap. Now, we're also going to teach you how to convert the lead. All right, give you information that your competitors do not know. All right, that's part of our training course after you sign on. All right, but this is basically the differences between having a listing on a service provider as opposed to having a video on the first page of Google through us. I recommend you do both. Sign up to at least one of the service providers and have a video on the first page of Google. Now, the huge, let's call it an advantage you have over the other people listed as service providers, as contractors that those service providers hand out, is the fact that you have a video. Okay, and that's huge because the bottom line is they'll remember 70% of what you showed them in that video. The other service providers, the other contractors that the service providers handed out, they only have a website listing. That's it. Bottom line is when a person goes to a business website, they spend 7 seconds on that website. If they don't see what they want to see, they leave the website. But yet they'll watch a video in its entirety and remember 70% of it. And get this. Videos increase the understanding of your service by 74%. When people understand more about you, they trust you more. When they trust you more, they're more apt to buy from you. Okay? Now, here's the bottom line. Here's the major differences. I recommend that you list with at least one service provider, but understand you're competing against the other contractors that they hand out. You have no video listing on those service providers. And really, you're dealing with tire kickers, so you got to find a way to separate yourself. That's where we come in. When they see your video on the first page, plus you were recommended from one of the service providers, the consumer puts two and two together. They'll look at you as being more credible, more professional. Plus the video will do the selling for you. Turn them into a more motivated buyer ready to call you. Okay? It's a huge difference. All right, now what I recommend at this point, just email my assistant. She'll give you instructions on how you can apply with us. Thanks so much for your time.